when you got DK Metcalf saving bad throws, does it really matter that it was a bad throw? Seahawks, I mean, I like a lot of this offense. Like adding JSN to Metcalf and Lockett, I think is very, very strong. I am a little bit concerned about Geno, though. I mean, so the more you dive into his numbers, the more you're kind of like, I don't know. He had the sixth most turnover-worthy plays in the NFL last year. He only threw, I think it was like 12 interceptions with a ton more drop picks and stuff like that. Yeah. It might have been a little fluky. We'll find out. This rushing offense should be nasty with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. The O-line really started to figure it out down the stretch for them last year. Like I was the most wrong a human can be on the Seahawks at this time last year when I thought they were number one pick worthy because they were starting two rookie left tackle, right tackle. Mm-hmm. And I saw nothing that they could do to fix that, but I was wrong. Those guys.
And at this time last year, it was a Drew Lock, Geno Smith camp battle, which you know, that's what they show on loop in hell is that camp battle.
So go ahead, Jay.
So when you look at this offense and you said added Jaxon Smith-Njigba, Jaxon Smith-Njigba was my favorite wide receiver in this draft. That kind of goes down a little bit. I like Jordan Addison a whole lot more moving forward in that Minnesota offense, but that's neither here nor there. I think Zach Charbonnet coming out of UCLA is a much bigger addition than JSN in this offense. I think Kenneth Walker is very one-dimensional. And I think he had a great rookie year, but getting injured down the stretch, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if Charbonnet becomes the 1-1 for this role and takes over this backfield. And if Geno Smith can just be the Geno Smith of last year, where for somehow, some way, he just keeps getting it done. I mean, I don't see any reason why this team can't win nine games.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a bit more of a Geno believer, given that there's a lot of stink on Geno Smith because of what he went through his career. You know, he got punched in the face. Nobody cared of the Jets. Yeah, got his jaw broken. Then he floated around the league.
Made a guy famous that was
IK Inikpala,
practice squad guy.
Yeah. There's no reason anybody should remember that name except for he punched Geno Smith in the face and broke his jaw. But I was listening. I think it was around the NFL. They were talking about how Geno Smith, he kind of learned from every quarterback that he learned under, or that he backed up after he left the Jets. And he backed up Eli Manning, whether you like it or not, Hall of Famer. Maybe not by talent, by accolades though, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers,
French guy.
I mean, they're both Hall of Very Good at least.
Oh yeah.
You know, guys who had great long careers. Russell Wilson.
One of the greatest drafts ever.
Yeah. I mean, those two, Big Ben, Matt Schaub. Was Matt Schaub in that draft?
I don't think I know what off the top of my head what draft Matt Schaub was in, so I'll just trust you on that.
The safety for Washington, Sean Taylor was in that draft.
Yeah, it was a good draft. But I mean, he learned from these guys, and this could be an actual like second act for Geno Smith, like a la Alex Smith had. You know, Alex Smith, he didn't float around the league as a backup for a long time, but he was regarded kind of the same way as Geno Smith was before Jim Harbaugh came to San Francisco. And, you know, Jim Harbaugh kind of calmed him down, got him on the right path. And then Andy Reid made him keep Patrick Mahomes on the bench for a year. So, I mean, he was a decent quarterback.
Might be Andy Reid's biggest mistake of his career, though.
Possibly. I mean, who knows? But people forget, too, Pat Mahomes was kind of a turnover monster in college. And so I think that if Alex Smith isn't on that roster, Pat Mahomes isn't who he is right now.
To be clear, you are talking to two guys who watched every single game of Pat Mahomes' career live because we both went to Texas Tech.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys know he was kind of a turnover monster for a little bit.
No, he was having to throw the ball 65 times a game because our defense couldn't stop him.
That's fair too. That's entirely fair.
He was in some rough spots, but
when your arm's dying, you still got to chuck it 60 yards downfield. I mean, you're gonna have some balls will die on you.
Didn't have the best receivers to work with either.
That's true.
But anyways, on that note, about the receivers. Like, one thing, like, there are some things in Geno's numbers that really worry me, but when your receivers are this good, I'm not sure it's gonna matter. Like, that's where I'm like hitting a hard place with thinking about Geno, because I think receivers become so much more important in NFL offenses. Each of the last few years just become like exponentially more important. And I think when you got DK Metcalf saving bad throws, does it really matter that it was a bad throw? Like,
I mean,
he's getting it there.
When you have JSN stepping into a role of wide receiver 3, when he's one of the most talented route runners with some of the best hands we've seen come out of the draft in a long time, playing wide receiver 3, you have Noah Fant, whose ceiling is through the roof. I mean, he hasn't really done anything yet, but I mean, has the potential to do it.
Got a block to play for Pete.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah, but I mean, I was gonna say, how much is an interceptable pass really an interceptable pass when DK Metcalf is on the other side?
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
And that helps a lot. And JSN, I love JSN coming out. The problem was that we got bored of JSN, and then he didn't really play last year, so people forgot how good he was.
Yeah. He was incredible. I mean, he might have been the best receiver on that Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave team.
He 100% was. That's the thing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah. I mean, I've been on JSN train for a long time. Yeah. And then this past year, Marvin Harrison breaks out. And they're like, well, how good is JSN really if Marvin Harrison can go do this? And I'm like, okay, like, let's not knock a guy because Ohio State recruits really good receivers.
Yeah. I mean, that's wide receiver U right now. It's like them and LSU are just like, they're churning out studs always.
So outside the offense, I mean, we don't need to talk that much more about the O-line. They have bookend tackles you feel good about for the future. So, I mean, I can just leave it at that. This defense, I think this unit's going to be pretty damn good, even though there's questions on the D-line. Like, getting Bobby Wagner back in here, who was still, like, he's not the same guy he was, but he's still one of the better linebackers in the NFL. And he's coming back to the Legion of Boom here. You get one of the best corners in the draft across from Tariq Woolen, who, I mean, he was impressive as a rookie. Mm-hmm. And that was the other thing I said about them last year. They're starting 2 rookies at quarterback, too. Like, how can they be good?
Wasn't that either.
Pete Carroll is like, I don't know who he made a deal with, but they did so damn well last year for how many rookies they played. Kobe Bryant played well for them out of the nickel. They're getting Blitz Boy back up at safety. Like, this is a stacked back 7 on the defense. If the D-line can be decent, they're
an incredible linebacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Brooks. And then also Quandre Diggs, which, to quote my co-host, every team needs a little bit of an asshole, and that's Quandre Diggs. So, I mean, it's Legion of Boom 2.0. Like, if Jamal Adams, like you called him, Blitz Boy, if they don't have to have him actually play in coverage and he can just be in the box and blitzing and all that, this is a team that, like I said, they're a top 3 team in the NFC this year.
They might be. I mean, this defense is going to be sick. And then they added Julian Love, too. I don't even know what they're going to do with him, but Julian Love was awesome for the Giants.
Yeah, they're all in all spots. They're just deep. That's the problem on defense for other teams. So,
yeah.
So you want to go to the schedule breakdown for the
Seahawks? Let's roll through their schedule.
All right. So we have open of the week, open the season in Los Angeles, then going to Detroit, Carolina coming to them, and then going to the Giants. They have an early bye, which is one of the things I hate about a schedule, at least, is early bye. And then coming off that, going to Cincinnati, then Arizona coming home, Cleveland coming home, going to Baltimore, going to Washington. Let's just break down that first half of the schedule right there, because I think that's pretty tough for them having the early bye. Then going to Detroit week 2. Detroit opens the season at Kansas City. And I expect Detroit to be one of the better teams in the NFL this year. And I'm expecting them to lose week 1. So Detroit looking for their first win week 2 at home. That's a tough draw right there.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat Detroit in Detroit. If it was in Seattle, I'd be on the other side. But
Carolina's a very, very well structured team. And if Bryce Young can do Bryce Young things, that might be a tough game. And then Brian Daboll's just proven he's a terrific coach. So like it's a pretty tough 4-game stretch to start out with Seattle there going into the bye week.
Yeah, the thing with I feel good about them against the Rams. I feel good against Carolina. Detroit, I'm toss up. I'm giving to the home team. The Giants, I have a hard time because we haven't looked at the NFC East yet, and I don't know what they've added on defense. If Wink has got a bit more of a squad, I start to worry a little more because I think he's going to get. He always gets wild with those guys, but if Wink Martindale might get a bit of an edge there, I think this defense is going to give Daniel Jones a tough time because they just got athletes all over and they might be able to neutralize his mobility, especially with a guy like Julian Love, who was with the Giants last year, coming back in. I think he might be having a big game. But so I think I'm going to end up giving that to Seattle. So I see him at 3-1 going into the bye.
My only worry about giving the Giants giving Seattle the win against the Giants is Seattle's got to go cross country and the Giants are on a long week. They play on Thursday Night Football in week 3. But I think that's more than offset by you look at the wide receiver core for the Giants and then you look at the defensive backfield for the Seahawks, and it's a complete mismatch just across the board. They're going to get overpowered. Now, is this game going to be ugly? Is it going to be a defensive slugfest? I think so. I'll give it to the Giants. I'll give it to the Seahawks over the Giants, but it'll be an ugly game. I'll also have them losing to Detroit.
Not a very appealing Monday Night Football game.
No, it's not.
Seattle, New York, week 4. So
gross.
And then the next stretch there, Cincy, I don't see him going into Cincinnati and winning. Arizona, I think Arizona's going to give folks a harder time than they expect this year, but ultimately I think Seattle's going to beat them. Cleveland in Seattle. I'm taking Seattle there. That's going to be a dogfight, though.
Cleveland can run the ball.
And then at Baltimore, I'm going to give it to Baltimore. So I see him 2-2 in that stretch.
Same. I got Cincy and Baltimore. Those are some tough road games to deal with. So.
Yeah. Then we have Washington, LA, back-to-back Thursday Night Football games with San Francisco and Dallas.
Thanksgiving is in there somewhere.
Yeah, so that 4-game stretch, I could see them going 3-1 in that stretch. I could definitely see them losing to either Washington or the Rams, and I think they lose both that San Francisco-Dallas game. So what are y'all's thoughts on it?
I gotta be intellectually honest and say I had the Niners losing to them. So I had the Niners beating them. Nope, I had the Niners losing to them. Told you both it was a long day. Had the Niners losing to them. So I had them beating the Niners. So I'm gonna give them 3-1 in that stretch as well.
I was gonna say 2-2. But I'm gonna trust you, Jeff, that the 49ers just lose to Seattle.
They don't win in Seattle.
I'll give them 3-1.
They've won one game in Seattle in the last decade. So,
all right, then immediately back to San Francisco, Philly, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona. So, assuming that they split with San Francisco, that's a win. Philly, trash organization, trash team. That's an easy win for them. Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Arizona. They could win all those. They could close out the season strong.
I'm gonna have them going 3-2. I think they lose to the Niners, lose to the Eagles. Sorry.
3-2, and I think that they're going to lose.
I think they're closer to 2-3.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say. And 3-2, but I think that they're going to lose a game somewhere in here. Pittsburgh, Tennessee, one of these.
Both of those teams are both so well coached.
I think they're going to lose one that you don't expect. So that puts them at 10 wins for me.
Yeah. So when I'm looking at their futures here, I'm probably not looking at the over/under here, 9 wins. I think that's pretty right on. I think they could win anywhere between 8 and 10. But what I do love for this team is winning the division at 2-1 odds, because when you look at the San Francisco team, question marks at the quarterback position, and then on top of some of their best players historically don't stay the healthiest. Seattle's just so well coached. Like I wouldn't mind taking a stab at 2-1 odds at winning the division right there. Like I think value wise, that's absolutely the best bet here.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's the best bet. If you like over-unders, I hate them because why am I tying up my money for 4 months on minus money? Like, I just don't see the point of it. But if you want over-unders, this is an over I'd take because you can push on the 9. You don't have the half. I think that's fair. Like, I will take that.
Yeah, all you got to do is hit 9 games. And we already talked about there's 10 winnable games for them there. So that'd be like, I would have to be making like a 2-unit play right there for me to take the total. But yeah, it would be the over there if I'm taking it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of partial to, I mean, plus 1,600. I know I took the Niners to win it, but NFC champ, I mean, I put them as one of the top 3 teams in the NFC.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
if one of your top 3 teams in the NFC are getting 16-1,
16-1 odds, you gotta
easy. It's easy money. You gotta hammer it.
Yeah. So I mean, I just don't see any team that's not the Niners, the Seahawks, or the Eagles coming out of the NFC this year. So
I mean, you're a Jalen Hurts injury away from the NFC just being like, who's the quarterback in the Super Bowl? Like,
yeah. you might have Geno Smith versus Sam Darnold, and the winner goes
Let's
to the
not
Super
act
Bowl.
like the Cowboys didn't make some great additions this offseason, guys.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot Dak. I'd put Dak ahead of like the field.
I'm very pessimistic, but like
I am down.
You're saying the Seattle's better than the Cowboys here?
I am very down.
My homerism might have to come out a little bit here.
I'm down on the Cowboys for the main reason of they swapped out Kellen Moore for Brian Schottenheimer. And
you didn't watch the Cowboys games if you don't. I mean, I don't even care about Brian Schottenheimer, but Kellen Moore was atrocious.
Brian Schottenheimer is one of the worst offensive coordinators in the history of the NFL, and I will stand behind that. He is, wherever he went, he was god awful.
It's a good thing Mike McCarthy's calling plays.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy's calling plays. Super Bowl champion.
Okay, never mind. In that case,
who's your Super Bowl champion?
Not nobody.
That's what I thought.
I was gonna say Kyle Shanahan, and I was like, nope, 28-3. Never mind. Forgot I said anything there.
Yeah.
No, Jay, I'll give you Dak there. I was like racking my brain. I was like Jalen Hurts and there's one other quarterback who's like above the field in the NFC.
Beefed up the defense. CeeDee Lamb's about to make a huge step. Tony Pollard's a fucking beast. Brought in multiple.
Well, I was just talking quarterback.
Yeah, but we'll get to. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pound the drum for the Cowboys, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like Seattle's in a better position to make a run than the boys. So just had to give my 2 cents there.